Welcome, travelers, to an exploration of one of New York City's most unique and amazing experiences. Today, we're not just visiting a landmark, we're taking a special trip through the air, gliding above the busy streets and the sparkling East River. We're going to focus on the iconic Roosevelt Island Tramway, a true symbol of new ideas and connection in the city that never sleeps. It's much more than just a way to get around. It's like a floating observation deck that offers amazing views and a story deeply woven into the fabric of New York's ever-changing landscape. Get ready to see the city from a perspective that few truly get to enjoy, a viewpoint that turns the familiar skyline into a grand and wide canvas. Our adventure today will take us high above the ground, hanging between the lively energy of Manhattan and the quiet calm of Roosevelt Island. Imagine stepping into one of the red cabins, feeling the gentle hum as it gets ready to take off. The world below starts to get smaller, and the familiar sounds of the city fade into a soft whisper, replaced by the grand quietness of the sky. This is a journey that invites you to pause, breathe, and witness the grand show of New York City unfolding before your very eyes. It's a moment of pure magic, a chance to connect with the heart of the city in a way that is both exciting and deeply peaceful. This air journey isn't just about the stunning views, as magnificent as they are. It's also a step through time, a trip that tells a story of change and strength. The Roosevelt Island Tramway is a testament to human cleverness, a solution born out of need that grew into an icon. As we glide smoothly over the river, we follow a path that millions have traveled, each with their own story, their own destination, their own dream. This tram connects much more than just two pieces of land. It joins the past with the present and links the lively beat of city life with the quiet promise of a peaceful home. So if you're ready to experience New York from a completely different angle, I invite you to join me on this virtual journey. Let's leave the busy sidewalks behind and rise into the sky. Buckle up, get comfortable, and let yourself be carried on a smooth flight over the heart of New York. We're about to discover the history, the engineering wonders, and the hidden stories of the Roosevelt Island Tramway. This adventure promises to be inspiring, offering us a fresh perspective on a city we all think we know. Let the adventure begin as we float into the sky. Before we dive into how the tramway works and its history, we need to first learn about the place it goes to, Roosevelt Island. This thin piece of land, right in the middle of the East River, has a long and often forgotten story. It's had many names and been used for many things over hundreds of years, and each part of its story adds something new to what makes it special. Long before it became the peaceful neighborhood it is today, it was called Blackwell's Island, a name it had from the 1600s until 1921. Later, it was renamed Welfare Island, a name that gave a hint about what it was mainly used for during a big part of its life. When it was Blackwell's and then Welfare Island, this lonely spot was home to places that society wanted to keep hidden away. It was a place where the city sent people who were on the edges of society, holding hospitals, mental hospitals, and prisons. The island had a smallpox hospital, a mental hospital, and a poorhouse, which means it had a pretty sad and dark past. You can still hear the echoes of these stories of the people who lived and worked here in tough times, in the island's old buildings and landmarks. This history of being cut off and having these institutions makes its change into a busy modern neighborhood even more amazing and interesting. The big change for the island started in the 1970s, a very important time that marked the beginning of it becoming new again. That's when a brave new idea for the island began to take shape. It was a plan for a neighborhood where people could live on their own, a quiet place to get away from the city's constant rush. Building this new community meant thinking in a new way about how people would get to and from the island. Building the Roosevelt Island Tramway was a key part of this project to make the island new again. It was a very important step, a lifeline that would physically and symbolically connect the island to Manhattan, showing that a new time was starting for this special part of New York. This change from a place of being held back to a popular place to live is a powerful story of how cities can be made new. The island's journey shows how New York can always reinvent itself, how it can find new uses for its spaces and give them new meaning. The tramway became the reason for this change, an amazing piece of engineering that not only solved a travel problem, but also became a symbol of the island's bright future. It helped turn a place once known for its sad past into a shining example of a quiet, safe, family-friendly neighborhood, completely fitting into the amazing picture of New York City. To truly appreciate the rebirth of Roosevelt Island, we must first travel back in time and understand the many identities it has held. Before it became a symbol of modern urban living, it was a place defined by its function and its isolation. This thin strip of land in the East River did not always bear the name of a celebrated president. For centuries it was known as Blackwell's Island, a name it acquired in the late 1700s when the Blackwell family owned it. However, this peaceful time was destined to be brief. As New York City grew, so did the need for places to put the institutions that handled its tricky social problems. And this conveniently isolated island became the perfect, though sad, answer for city planners. In 1921, the island's name officially changed to Welfare Island, a title that more directly showed what it was being used for. This name, which it would hold for over 50 years, became known for the city's public health and prison facilities. It was a name that carried the weight of its residents' stories, tales of sickness, poverty, and being locked up. Even though the goal was to provide help and care, the name also made it clear that the island was separate from the lively, hopeful life of Manhattan, which was just a stone's throw away. The name Welfare Island made people think of a place that was apart, a world far from the glitz and energy of the city it served. The journey of its name shows how the island itself changed. Each name stands for a different part of its rich and often tough history. From the Blackwell family owning it privately to the time of institutions as Welfare Island, the island's identity was always shaped by what the bigger city needed and thought of it. It was a place that helped New York, but wasn't truly a part of it. This history of being a different place, a dumping ground for the city's less fortunate, is super important to understand how big a deal its eventual new beginning was. The story of Roosevelt Island is, in many ways, the story of its names and the times they stand for. The final and current name, Roosevelt Island, given in 1973, was a clear and strong way to give it a new image. It was chosen to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his idea of a society that takes care of its people, but it also showed a clear break from the island's past as a place for institutions. This new name was part of a bigger plan to change the island's future, to turn a place once known for being isolated into a connected and forward-thinking community. It was a statement that a new chapter was beginning, one not about being locked away, but about community, connection, and a fresh feeling of belonging in the heart of New York City.
Roosevelt Island, where secrets keep under the bridges.
The time when the island was known as Blackwell's and then Welfare Island was its darkest and most important period. During this time, the island became a place with big, strong buildings made to hold and manage people that society on the mainland wanted to keep far away. It was here that New York City set up a complete, though sad, system of public places. Some of the most well-known were the New York City Lunatic Asylum, which opened in 1839, and the Smallpox Hospital, a ruin in a Gothic style that still stands as a spooky reminder of this past. These places came from how people in the 1800s thought about social problems, which was to keep people separate and in institutions rather than letting them be part of the community. Life on the island was very different from the busy city across the water. While Manhattan was building tall skyscrapers and showing off its lively culture, Welfare Island was a place of strict rules and often tough times. Besides the asylum and the smallpox hospital, it also had a huge prison, a place for people who committed small crimes, and the city's charity hospital. The very air seemed heavy with sad and hopeless stories. The island was like a small version of the city's hidden side, a necessary but unseen part of how the city worked. Being separated by water was its main feature, making it a good place to keep people contained, but also making those who lived and worked there feel even more alone. The way the buildings were designed during this time tells a lot about their purpose. The Octagon, which is the main tower left from the old asylum, and the ruins of the Smallpox Hospital are strong reminders of this history. They were built to be impressive and useful, symbols of order and control. These buildings saw the lives of thousands of people, from brave doctors and nurses like Nellie Bly, who went undercover in the asylum to show how bad the conditions were, to the many patients and prisoners whose stories have mostly been forgotten. The island's past is carved into these stones, a sad history that sets the stage for the amazing change that was coming. But this past isn't just a bunch of sad stories. It was the very start upon which the island's future would be built. By the mid-1900s, many of these places were no longer needed, and ideas about healthcare and justice were changing. the city started closing or moving these facilities, leaving behind a landscape of empty buildings and a lingering reputation for being gloomy. This decline created a special chance. The island, with its great spot and eerie beauty, was a clean slate, waiting for a new idea that would get rid of the shadows of its past and imagine a brighter, more hopeful future for this special part of New York.
NextYork calling, the future's bright.
The turning point for Roosevelt Island came in the late 1960s and early 1970s. As the old buildings disappeared, a bold new idea started to take shape, to change this lonely place into a perfect city neighborhood. This wasn't just a building project, it was a big change in what living in a city could be like. The idea was to make a calm, family-friendly, and mixed-income neighborhood that felt like a getaway from busy Manhattan, but was still very much connected to it. Planners, led by the New York State Urban Development Corporation, imagined a city within a city, with its own main street, parks, schools, and a strong feeling of togetherness. This big plan called for more than just new buildings. It called for a new way of living. The main plan, made by famous architects Philip Johnson and John Burgee, focused on areas good for walking, not many cars, and lots of green spaces. It was a forward-thinking idea that put how good life was and how people interacted first, instead of the crowded, car-filled development common in much of the city. The goal was to build a neighborhood from scratch that would be a safe place for the people living there. This dream of a calm, modern village right in the middle of the big city was bold, new, and completely depended on one very important thing: a steady and exciting way to connect to the outside world. Building the Roosevelt Island Tramway was the main part of this whole effort to make things new again. While a bridge already linked the island to Queens, a direct, fast, and famous connection to Manhattan was super important to bring in new people and make the community work. The tramway was more than just a useful solution. It was a statement. It showed a new kind of connection, light, open, and modern, floating above the old ways and pointing to a brighter future. It was the key piece of building that would close the gap between the island's isolated past and its connected future, making the dream of a busy community a real thing. This change, from a place of old abandoned buildings to a popular neighborhood, is one of New York City's most successful stories of making a city better. The change was amazing, turning something that showed society had given up on it into a shining example of good city planning. The new idea for Roosevelt Island wasn't just about building houses, but making a home. Not just a spot, but a community. The tramway became the bright symbol of this promise, a real and symbolic lifeline that carried the first brave residents to their new lives and marked the true start of the island's amazing new beginning. It was the first step in making the island the lively neighborhood it is today.
Beneath my feet, graffiti tales on every street.
Once a bold and renewed vision for Roosevelt Island was established, planners faced a big problem: how to connect this growing community directly and easily with the middle of Manhattan. The Queensboro Bridge was right over the island, but it didn't have a way for people to walk or drive directly onto it. Building a new bridge or tunnel was thought to be too costly, too messy, and would take too long. The answer had to be new, quick, and smart. It was at this important time that developers looked away from normal city building and turned their attention to the snowy tops of the Swiss Alps. They found their answer in a technology that was perfect for going over mountains: the aerial tramway. It was a really unusual idea for a city setting. The job of bringing this mountain technology to the tall buildings of New York City went to Von Roll Limited, a Swiss engineering company famous for building cable cars and chairlifts in the toughest mountain areas in the world. Changing their skills from the calm, natural places of the Alps to the busy, complicated, and always moving environment of New York was a huge job. The company had to design a system that could handle not only the city's special weather, but also fit perfectly into its strict and crowded airspace. This wasn't about climbing a mountain of rocks, but a mountain of rules, planning, and city crowdedness. Choosing a tramway was a brilliant idea for many reasons. First, it fixed the access problem without making the already huge traffic jams on the city's bridges and streets even worse. By lifting passengers over the East River, a new way to travel was made that moved people without a single car. It was a forward-thinking way to handle city travel, putting efficiency first and causing less harm to the environment long before these ideas were common. The tramway showed a smarter way to grow the city, offering a way to get around that was as nice as it was useful, a quiet dance above the city's busy noise. Also, the project was meant to show off modern engineering, a sign of Roosevelt Island's new forward-thinking identity. It was a clear choice to pick a way of transport that was not only helpful, but also inspiring. The tramway would give its passengers a special and amazing experience, making the daily ride into something wonderful. It was a promise that life on the island would be different, better in every way. This mountain solution, brought from the mountains of Switzerland, was meant to become one of New York City's most surprising and loved symbols, a true success of clever problem-solving.
Subway rattles a steady beat.
The building of the Roosevelt Island Tramway was an amazing engineering achievement, needing careful planning, clever ideas, and a deep understanding of how things fly and how cities work. The main problem was to cross the wide East River without putting any support poles in the water. The plan had to use a series of huge towers placed in just the right spots on each side of the river, from which thick steel cables would hang. These cables, which are like the tramway's real lifelines, had to be strong enough to hold the weight of 2 cabins, each able to carry over 100 people, and stand up to the constant push and pull of wind, weather, and daily use. The 2 cabins were designed to work in a back-and-forth system, meaning that while one cabin goes up from one station, the other goes down from the station on the other side. This clever setup does 2 things. It makes sure there's a steady flow of people in both directions, and most importantly, it acts like a counterbalance. The weight of the cabin going down helps to lift the cabin going up, which greatly cuts down on the energy needed to run the system. This efficient and smart design shows how good Von Roll is with mountain-style engineering, perfect for what a busy city transportation system needs, working day after day in the middle of the city. Putting up the huge steel towers, which went hundreds of feet into the air, was a job that was as tricky as it was complicated. These structures had to be dug deep into the solid rock of Manhattan and Roosevelt Island to give the steady support needed to hold the cables under a lot of strain. The building process was like a carefully planned dance of cranes and workers, happening over one of the busiest waterways in the world. The project showed an amazing level of exactness, making sure every bolt, beam, and cable was put in the perfect spot to create a system that was not just useful, but also super safe, setting a new example for air transportation in a city setting. In the end, the tramway's design achieved something amazing. It made a way to get lots of people across that floats easily above the city's existing roads and buildings. It crosses the East River without touching a bridge, adds to how many people can move around without adding more cars, and gives an important connection without taking up too much space in the city. This smart engineering fix wasn't just about building a new way to get from one place to another. It was about creating a structure that fit in perfectly with its surroundings. It's proof of how new ideas can solve tough city problems in a way that's both effective and beautiful.
NextYork calling, the future's bright. Skyscrapers piercing through.
When the Roosevelt Island Tramway opened its doors to the public in 1976, the truth is, it was never meant to be a permanent part of the New York City skyline. The project was planned and presented, well, as a temporary solution. The big idea for Roosevelt Island included a future subway connection that would eventually link the island directly to the city's huge underground train system. The tramway was supposed to be a very important, but only for a little while, way to get the island's first residents around during the first building stage. Planners thought it would be needed for about 5 to 10 years, just enough time for the subway line to be ready and become the main way to get around. However, something unexpected happened. New Yorkers, both the island's new residents and curious visitors from all over the city, fell in love with it. The 3-minute ride was much more than just a way to get from one place to another. It became a daily show, offering amazing wide views of the Manhattan skyline, the East River, and the Grand Queensboro Bridge. It was fast, dependable, and honestly, super exciting. The tramway quickly became more than just a way to travel. It became an experience all on its own, a place to visit for tourists and a favorite routine for people who lived there. People's excited reaction to this new way of getting around started to change the talk about it being only temporary. The ease and charm of the tramway had a huge and quick effect on how the island grew. Its success was way beyond what anyone expected, showing it was a super effective way to make things grow. Real estate builders, who were at first careful about putting money into the new community, saw the tramway as a great way to sell things. The dependable and beautiful connection to Manhattan made the island much more appealing to people looking to buy or rent. Because of this, apartment buildings started filling up faster than expected, and the dream of a lively and busy community started to come true, all thanks to the temporary tramway that had captured the city's attention. Given how popular it was and its clear role in the island's success, city and state officials made a big decision. The plan to take down the tramway once the subway arrived was stopped. The temporary solution had become something absolutely needed. In 1989, the F-train subway station finally opened on Roosevelt Island. But by then, the tramway had already found a special place in the hearts of New Yorkers and in the city itself. It was officially made a permanent part of the city, making sure it would stay an iconic and loved part of New York's transportation system. A happy accident in planning that turned out to be a huge success story.
NextYork calling, the future's bright. Skyscraper.
The Roosevelt Island Tram was much more than just a way to get around. It was the heart that powered the island's amazing change. When it arrived, it acted like a strong spark, starting a wave of social and money-related changes that seemed impossible before. Before the tram, Roosevelt Island was a place known for its past, a beautiful but lonely piece of land. With the smooth ride of the red cars over the East River, a new time of possibilities began. The tram gave a direct, dependable, and most importantly, wanted connection with Manhattan, instantly making the island a good and appealing place to live for a new group of New Yorkers looking for a special city experience. This new easy access had an immediate and big effect on the island's housing market. The cost of new homes started to go up steadily as the tram showed its value. What was once thought of as a risky bet in a new community suddenly became prime land. The tram was a key selling point, a special extra that no other neighborhood could offer. It promised a calm escape from the busy city without losing convenience. This mix was too good to pass up, bringing in a mix of new residents, from young workers and families to artists and smart people, all drawn by the idea of a peaceful and pretty community just minutes from Midtown. New people moving in brought with them a burst of energy and business. As apartment buildings filled up, the need for local services and conveniences grew. Shops, restaurants, and small businesses started to open along Main Street, creating a local economy that could support itself. Green areas were made, schools were built, and community centers became places for people to meet. The island was no longer just a bunch of apartment buildings. It was growing into a real neighborhood with its own feel and appeal. The tram was the engine of this growth, always bringing in the people who would build and keep this new community strong from the ground up. In short, the tram helped create a feeling of belonging. It gave Roosevelt Island a new identity, defined by being connected instead of being alone. It encouraged a special community spirit among its residents who shared the daily habit of gliding over the river. This shared experience created a bond, turning neighbors into friends and a housing project into a true home. The tram was the key piece that let Roosevelt Island leave its old institutional past behind and become a lively, successful, and desired place to live. A true success story in making a city area new again.
Ferry glides through the icy spray. The island watches.
The biggest thing the Roosevelt Island Tramway did was to perfectly close the mental and physical space between the island and the rest of New York City. For hundreds of years, the island was a place by itself, because of the water all around it. It was a place people were sent to, not a place they wanted to go. The tramway completely changed that idea. By making a direct air connection with Manhattan, the tramway, in both a real and symbolic way, brought the island into the city's circle. The daily sight of the red cabins going from one side of the river to the other was a constant reminder that Roosevelt Island was now a real part of the New York picture. This new connection made it possible for people and cultures to flow back and forth, which had never happened before. It wasn't just people living there going to Manhattan for work. It was also people from Manhattan and tourists coming to the island for fun and to see what it was like. They came to enjoy the amazing views, to walk along the peaceful paths by the river, and to check out the island's special mix of old ruins and new buildings. The tramway turned the island into a place to visit, a place to find out about. This rush of visitors helped get rid of old bad ideas and showed thousands of people the quiet charm of the community, making it an even stronger part of the city's culture. Being part of the city was also officially recognized. As the community grew and did well, it got more power in politics and society. It was no longer a forgotten part of the city, but a clear and important neighborhood, with its own voice and needs. The success of the tramway-led growth showed a new way of city living, changing how city planners thought about creating communities in other unused parts of the 5 boroughs. Roosevelt Island became a perfect example of successful development around transportation, showing that new ways of getting around can be the key to making isolated areas useful and smoothly connecting them to the city. In the end, the tramway helped Roosevelt Island find its real place as part of New York City. It stopped being an island in the way we usually think of it. The feeling of being separate went away with each 3-minute ride over the river. Today, Roosevelt Island is not seen as a place to escape New York, but rather a special part of the city. A neighborhood that gives you the best of both worlds, the calm of island life and the lively energy of the big city. This amazing change from a forgotten old area to a loved city village is probably the tramway's biggest and most lasting gift. The Roosevelt Island Tramway has changed how New York looks, becoming as famous as the Statue of Liberty. Its red cars, moving smoothly in front of the Queensboro Bridge, add a modern and cool touch to the city. For artists and filmmakers, it's a bright flash between tall buildings, a sign of new ideas and city art. The tramway doesn't just connect 2 places, it changes how people travel every day, making it a beautiful and peaceful moment. Its success has made other cities think about using cable cars in the air, showing that getting around can be both fast and lovely. In New York, the tramway reminds us that there's always room for new ideas and a little bit of magic in the air. Behind the magic of the tram, there's a serious safety and upkeep system. Engineers and technicians check every part very carefully, making sure every ride is safe. The system has backup generators and emergency brakes ready for anything. They do practice drills with firefighters and police often, so evacuation plans are ready, even though they've never had to use them. This hard work has kept the tram very safe for many years. Because of this dedication, the tram is still one of the safest and most dependable ways to get around the city.
Skyscrapers piercing through the night. Dreams are forged.
The size of the cable car is clear in its numbers. Each cabin carries up to 125 passengers, crossing the East River in just 3 minutes. It reaches 250 feet high, offering unique views of Manhattan and the UN headquarters. It runs every 7.5 minutes during peak hours and until 2 a.m. on weekdays, 3:30 a.m. on weekends. More than 115,000 annual trips and 2 million passengers show its key role in city travel. These are not just numbers. They are millions of trips and moments of wonder over the city. The cable car is a quiet workhorse, essential for New York life. Each number tells a story of new ideas and lasting success.
Forged in concrete light. Roosevelt whispers, hold on.
The daily operation of the tram is a precise dance between technology and the human team. A powerful motor and the jig-back system synchronize the 2 cabins, while expert operators monitor every movement. Onboard assistants ensure safety and communication, adding an essential human touch. 6 steel cables and automated systems ensure a smooth and reliable journey. Each 3-minute journey is the result of decades of engineering and dedication. The tram is a symphony of precision, fulfilling the promise of safety and operational excellence.
Dreams are forged in concrete light.
The Roosevelt Island Tramway is more than just a piece of equipment. It's a cultural icon because it's been in so many movies and TV shows. From to the famous scene in, its image has captured the hearts of people all over the world. Tourists and fans want to relive those moments, making the tramway a must-see spot. It's been the setting for movies, TV series, music videos, and famous photos, making its place in New York's visual culture even stronger. Being on screen has given it its own unique personality, going from just a background to a main character. This stardom has boosted tourism and helped the local economy, which is good for the community. The tramway is a true New York success story, told in the language of movies.
In the city deep. Roosevelt Island, where secrets keep.
As it moved from the 20th to the 21st century, the Roosevelt Island Tramway went through some big changes. This was to make sure it stayed a super modern way to get around. A big update, finished in 2010, started a new time of being modern, safe, and comfy for riders. The whole system was rebuilt from scratch. The old cabins, cables, and machine parts were replaced with all new super advanced technology. The new cabins are bigger and have big windows from the floor to the ceiling. This really makes the view better, which is what the tram is known for. This update was a very important step to make sure the system lasts a long time so it can keep helping New Yorkers for many more decades. The modern rider experience now means feeling more comfortable and safe. The updated system uses a double cable design. This means each cabin runs on its own set of cables. This allows for more ways to operate and an even higher level of safety. It also means one cabin can be taken out of service for repairs without stopping the whole system. For the everyday traveler, this means an even more reliable and smooth trip. The ride itself is smoother and quieter, letting riders fully enjoy the amazing 360-degree views of the Manhattan skyline, the East River, and the Queensboro Bridge, all from the comfy, air-conditioned, modern cabin. For today's traveler, whether you ride every day or are visiting for the first time, the tram offers an experience that is both useful and magical. It's easy to pay, using the same MetroCard or the Omni tap-to-pay system that's used on the city's subways and buses. This makes it an easy and connected part of the public transportation system. Riders often take pictures and videos of their trip, sharing their special view of the city as it happens. The short 3-minute ride gives a peaceful break from the busy city, a chance to float above the hustle and bustle and see the city from a great bird's-eye view. This mix of being easy to use and amazing is what makes the modern tram experience so special. The update has really made the tram important for both commuters and as a top tourist spot. It keeps bringing new people to live on Roosevelt Island, who are drawn by the promise of a modern, reliable, and beautiful commute. At the same time, it's still a must-do for visitors, always ranking as one of the best and most affordable tourist experiences in New York. The modern tram is an example of good city planning, a system that has changed over time using new technology to get better at its main job of connecting people and giving a little bit of daily inspiration. Today, the Roosevelt Island Tramway is much more than an old relic or a fun tourist ride. It's a strong sign of a green, future-focused city. At a time when cities all over the world are looking for ways to solve traffic problems and cut down on pollution, the tramway is a great example of public transportation that works well and doesn't harm the environment much. By carrying thousands of people above busy streets every day, it uses very little energy and is powered by clean electricity. It shows a smarter, greener way to move people in a crowded city, a type of transportation that fits with the growing need for things to be sustainable and for a better way of life. The tramway's continued success and importance also help Roosevelt Island grow and do well. The island is seeing a new period of growth with the new Cornell Tech campus, new homes, and bigger parks. The tramway is very important for this new chapter, giving a dependable and nice way to travel for the new students, teachers, and families. It keeps helping the island's property value go up and brings in money, making it a stronger economic force for the community. The tramway isn't just a link to the island's past, but a key part of its bright and new future. Looking ahead, the Roosevelt Island Tramway inspires talks about adding air travel to other parts of New York. Its long-term success has shown that tramways are a good way to connect other communities along the river or to get around areas where building subways or bridges is too hard. City planners and people who support transportation often point to the tramway as proof that this idea works, leading to new ideas for air routes that could help other neighborhoods that don't have enough transportation. In that way, the tramway isn't just a unique symbol, but a leader, making way for the future of city travel in all 5 boroughs and beyond. As it is now, the tramway perfectly shows the spirit of New York, a mix of old strength and constant new ideas. It respects its past while looking to the future, serving its community quietly and well and giving moments of shared wonder to millions of people. It's a bridge in the air that connects not just 2 pieces of land, but also the city's rich past with its big future. As it keeps doing its quiet, smooth dance over the East River, the Roosevelt Island Tramway stays a timeless sign of connection, progress, and the never-ending magic of seeing the world from a higher place, promising a brighter, more connected future for the city it serves.
NextYork calling, the future's bright.
In the big, long story of New York City, the Roosevelt Island Tramway has a truly special and unique chapter. It's much more than just a clever and efficient way to get around. It's a powerful and lasting symbol of change. What started as a temporary and practical fix to a problem has, over the decades, grown into an iconic and beloved part of the city's skyline. It stands as proof of New York's amazing ability to reinvent itself, a city that can take a place once known for being isolated and sad, and with a little cleverness and vision, turn it into a thriving and hopeful community. The tram itself is the perfect example of that second chance. It acts as a bridge, not just across the sparkling East River, but also across time itself. In its short 3-minute ride, it takes passengers from the busy, tall world of Manhattan to the quiet, homey calm of Roosevelt Island. By doing this, it connects the city's fast-paced present with a neighborhood that has carefully kept the echoes of its complicated past. The tram is the link that allowed a forgotten island to come back to life, weaving it back into the city's complex and lively fabric. It's a floating monument to progress, a reminder that being connected is key to a community, and that even the boldest ideas can soar. This amazing tram, which started as a temporary fix, has secured its place as a symbol of the city's heart and soul. It's a place where the past meets the future, where engineering marvels meet moments of quiet human thought, and where the story of a very special neighborhood's rebirth is told with every graceful glide. The Roosevelt Island Tramway is a constant, moving reminder that sometimes, to move forward, we need to rise above everything. It has become an essential part of the New York experience, a symbol of hope and renewal beautifully suspended in the sky, inviting all of us to look up and dream. So the story of the tram is, in the end, a story about connection in its purest form. It connects people to their homes, visitors to new experiences, and a whole community to the city it calls home. It's proof that the simplest solutions are often the most inspiring, and that one brilliant idea can change the landscape of a city forever. As it continues its quiet and steady journey over the river, the tram remains a shining beacon of New York's lasting spirit, a spirit of new ideas, strength, and the constant movement that defines this amazing city. If you enjoyed flying over the city with us, don't forget to give this video a like, and subscribe for more amazing stories from New York and beyond. Your support helps us keep exploring one incredible journey at a time.
Graffiti tales on every street, New York's anthem never incomplete. NextYork calling, the future's bright. Skyscrapers piercing through the night. Dreams are forged in concrete light. Roosevelt whispers, hold on tight. Ferry glides through the icy spray. The island watches as time decays. History etched in the